Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. Hope you guys are all enjoying your week so far. Looking forward to the game against Aston Villa this Saturday, 12:30 kickoff. Can Newcastle get their 6th win in a row? I hope so. I think it's going to be a very tough game. In fairness, Unai Emery, a manager that Newcastle were also linked with before bringing in Eddie Howe, he's not doing a bad job in Aston Villa right now, is he? I think it will be a tough game. They have shot up the league since he got in. But we've been playing well the last few games, and hopefully we can get another win this weekend. A little bit of news coming out that St. Maximin has picked up an injury, and it's starting to come out now that that injury is worse than originally thought. He could well be out to as long as 6 weeks for Maxi, which isn't great, especially when he's just stepped into some of the best form we've seen him play in a while. So that's not good. On the other side, Almiron is expected to be fit for the game this weekend. We've missed Almiron, in fairness, for the last few games that we've won without him. So it'll be interesting to see if Almiron does come back in, or will Jacob Murphy keep his place, because he's been playing not too bad, has he? So we'll see how we get on at the game this weekend. But despite the game this weekend, the reason I have jumped on to do a video is because we've had some pretty interesting news coming out with regard to shirt sponsors. FUN88 will be no more for Newcastle United. In fairness, it's been quite heavily rumoured that Newcastle have already made a deal that this would be the final year of FUN88, regardless of what I'm about to talk about now. But I think that possibly what I'm about to talk about, I think, will possibly give a bit more background to kind of what's going on with our sponsorships right now. So what I am talking about is the fact that the Premier League teams, the Premier League, have come to an agreement that there will be no more gambling shirt sponsors. To be specific, gambling shirt sponsors on the front of the shirt. No mention of potential sleeves or a few other bits we'll come on to in a second, but specifically for Newcastle, there will be no more FUN88. Whether this deal is definitely happening or not, whether the thought switch from FUN88 to Saudi Air at the end of this season is or is not happening, it's confirmed that regardless, by the season of 25-26, there will be no more gambling sponsors on the front of Premier League shirts. The statement from the Premier League says, Premier League clubs today have collectively agreed to withdraw gambling sponsorship from the front of clubs' matchday shirts, becoming the first sports league in the UK to take such a measure voluntarily in the order to try and help reduce gambling. Obviously, there's been, loads of changes since the new owners, the Newcastle owners came in. Loads of change on the pitch. We've been doing great. Loads of conversation off the pitch. We've talked about stadium expansion. We've talked about upcoming changes to the training facilities. Amanda actually spoke quite recently about the fact that they are looking for a new purpose-built training ground as we speak. We've seen changes going on at the training ground right now. Other big topics of conversation have been this bad boy right here, Cousteau. Could we potentially see a change back to Adidas? That seems to be a very popular opinion among fans. And in that kind of commercial sponsorship bubble of conversation, a big one has been, can we move away from FUN88, who reportedly pay us less than what we get for our yearly sponsorship of Noon on our sleeves. Is it 7 million a year Noon give us? Yeah, in my opinion, and from what is rumoured, the previous deal we had with FUN88 doesn't sound like it was a very good one. And in this new world for Newcastle United, trying to bring in players, bring in some of the best players. This is where sponsorships like this are going to make a huge difference to us. It has been rumoured, as I say, for a while that Newcastle had in fact already struck a deal with FUN88 to reduce what was ever left on our sponsor contract with them down to the end of this season. If in fact, as I say, they already knew that this was coming, the fact that Premier League clubs will not be allowing gambling sponsors on the front of shirts, that will be active from the 25-26 season. So that is fine the rest of this season, it's fine next season, it's the one after where it will no longer be allowed. Teams have already got deals, they've got to strike deals, they've got to be like, right, we've got a 5-year deal with you, we can't have that anymore, we've got to move on. It would not surprise me for a second if Newcastle and FUN88 both knew exactly what was on the horizon. I mean, I think as fans, we've kind of seen the changes in sponsorship allowances in sport generally, and I think it was probably on its way. So when Newcastle sat them down and went, look, the chances are this is going to happen, allow us now to pay you off to allow at the end of this season to bring in our own sponsor. So as I've said, it is official, regardless of whether the rumoured deal for Newcastle changing their sponsor happens at the end of this season or not. We know for a fact that because of the changes in the Premier League, the season after, it will most certainly change, if it hasn't already. The highest rumoured link of sponsorship for Newcastle is Saudi Air, amongst a few others. Hopefully that will generate quite a few pennies in the pot compared to what we're getting right now. So those are big positives for Newcastle United. Obviously other positives are the fact that the Premier League are trying to take steps to try and help with gambling sponsorships. Obviously there's been a couple of negative, well, not negative views, but there's been a few points made that it's for the front of the shirt only. So what? So in theory, you could still have FUN88 on the sleeve if you wanted to. So they're not actually banning it from shirts. They're only doing it from a certain part of the shirt. There's people coming out and saying that fair enough the shirt, but what about the boards around the outside of the ground? What about the boards in the ground, the TV sponsors? Look, there's a lot there that I think could be looked into. And I understand why the Premier League have taken a step. Maybe there is still more to take. But keeping it into our Newcastle United conversation, for the fact that it is confirming that changes will be made for the better for us in terms of value for money. We are a team fighting for a top 4 spot right now with a sponsorship that you probably get paid less for than, possibly some championship clubs. As I say, I don't know the figures. It's rumoured that it ain't very good. So to know now that, as I say, the hope is that this is changing at the end of the season regardless. As I say, that the rumours seem quite high, and I think this backs up those talks that they're better off doing the change now. FUN88 are better off going, okay, yes, I'll take the payout, because if I don't take it now, I'm sat here in a year's time getting the contract ripped off because they didn't take the deal when they should have. So I think FUN88 would have had that in their own heads as to why they should do it. The next conversation is, what's happening with this one? When is this going to be back to Adidas? I must say, I do actually quite like this shirt, but the issues with Castor and some of the shirts that have created and mistakes and sending wrong shirts, and some of which have had the sponsor missing, which is possibly a good thing for some fans. Hopefully we can see some deals for Castor. In terms of that one, it sounds like we could have them for another year before we're able to kind of switch that up as well. But let me know your thoughts down below on the fact that FUN88 will be no more at Newcastle. Do you fully expect them to be gone at the end of this season? I think if they were in discussions but nothing was decided yet, I think this right here my pad with the information written on is confirmed it, because if I was FUN88 now, I'd be making a deal. Get me out of here while I still can, before the contract gets torn up regardless in a year's and a half time. Alright guys, let me know your thoughts on that down below. Let me know your thoughts ahead of the Villa game this weekend. As I say, I know it'll be a good one. Hopefully we can keep the streak going. Hopefully we can take something from the game, because I honestly do. I think it will be one of the toughest we've played in a little while. But yeah, thank you for watching. As always, drop a like, subscribe if you're still watching 10 minutes later, and I'll catch you later.